let's just kind of take it from the beginning and let's talk about chemicals, pesticides, and cannabis. What are you consuming? Are you consuming chemicals when you're ingesting your cannabis? If it's unregulated, the answer is probably yes. Even if it is regulated, there's a lot of chemicals in trace amounts, and there's things called PGRs, plant growth regulators, that also affect the cannabis bud structure. If you've ever had a bud that's really dense and if you leave it out, the terps kind of turn like cardboardy, it's probably had PGRs in there. There's more research coming out about those, how they affect people. Some people can get sick from them. I have not personally noticed any adverse effects, but that's kind of the thing though, that my personal opinion when it comes to pesticides and chemicals on your cannabis is they are there in trace amounts with most of these brands. There's several brands doing it right in California, like Autumn Brands, who I work for, is pesticide-free, no spray ever. You can wash your lettuce, but not your weed is the tagline. Source Cannabis does some super quality indoor. They got the first clean green certification, I think. Those are just like a couple of the favorites, if you will. But it's so interesting to see. And it really wasn't kind of on the forefront of my mind. I've thought about it before. I'd smoke shit in Jersey and Kansas where it's like, what is this, man? This is like a different high. I feel like there's something on here, maybe like some lace shit. And then I saw some stuff in the news, like people dying of cannabis and shit. I'm like, dude, it's other stuff on there, man. It's not just the cannabis. So it's kind of been in the back of my head, and I should probably have something drafted out to just talk about it right now. But I figured we'll go off the cuff here. So yeah, there's trace amounts. There's a lot of shit that, not even saying the FDA does everything right, because we've seen shit go down with food and other pharmaceutical shit. However, there's a lot of these chemicals that are illegal in other agriculture elements, like in the United States, but they can still be used on cannabis in trace amounts. I don't know if the answer is complete federal legalization, but there needs to be some sort of standard. And that's why I get behind these brands that are really focusing on that standard. Because in my opinion, in 5 years, not even that maybe, people are going to realize and be more conscious of the cannabis they're consuming. Like, dude, I don't want to be smoking this shit that maybe has the plant growth regulators. Oh, I don't want to even smoke this shit that has neem oil on it, which is, not even that bad. Or I don't want these other chemicals on there. And what really opened my mind with this whole thing is when I first toured the Autumn Brands farm. I've toured some other farms, some of my buddies, kind of low-key grows, and seeing how they do it was interesting. But really being at Autumn Brands and learning about all these beneficial insects that help the plants thrive made so much sense to me. Like in nature, when cannabis was around before all these chemicals, like cannabis was able to grow in nature, and pests are a huge issue. So when I tell people, like I was literally at an event yesterday telling this guy, we don't even put neem oil on our shit. And he was like, dang, that's crazy. My brother grows. I'm gonna have to look at how you guys do it. I'm like, yeah, dude, go tour the farm. So making this switch was like a big decision. This was before I ever came on the Autumn Brands team, but they switched and said, we're gonna do no pesticides, spray free, and we're never gonna, touch pesticides again. They lost a lot of crop doing that. There's a method to the whole grow, this organic style of the no spray ever, that is fascinating. And I think everybody can take a page out of the Autumn Brands book, the source book, and really try to level up that experience. And the crazy thing about it is I'm not even selling retail this Autumn Brands flower or wellness products, but people still the education needs to be there. A lot of people don't really care. Like they don't oh dude, I don't really care that it's no pesticides, because they don't really know what that is exactly. And I get it. Like I'm saying, I'll still enjoy other stuff that does have pesticides or neem oil, other sprays on there. But I think there's just this whole education element that just needs to keep being pushed and pushed and pushed out there. So that's why I'm doing it. Maybe this is boring to you, but if it is what it is. I'm just on a fucking pesticide cannabis rant. But I think that this topic is going to be coming more and more into the mainstream. And then there's going to be companies like Autumn Brands who are perfectly positioned to run this show. And there's native ladybugs at the Santa Barbara farm. Those are the ladybugs with no spots. You can't transport them or they'll die. They need to be there. That's why the native ladybugs. And that's kind of the symbol of Autumn Brands, and seeing how they can, eat these other pests and really create this beneficial environment for these plants to thrive in. And that's where I get on board with Autumn Brands as a whole. I'm not going to go on a whole pitch there. I do a lot of videos and content for them, so I don't want to keep, beating on that horse. But this whole topic has me super interested, and I And I have some stuff. I've done actually another one. I don't know if I released it, man. I've been shooting a lot of shit. But if I haven't, I'll put that below. I go through like this huge list, the whole California pesticide list, and it shows you what's allowed and in what amounts. And you can go through too. I've looked at different COAs for other brands, and you can go through these COAs and you can see that yes, it passed whatever. Maybe it passed heavy metals, maybe it passed something else, but you can still see it. Some of these COAs, there's still like a trace percentage. And don't even get me started on the hemp game and how that needs to be, really figured out and regulated. And that's a whole nother topic of the industry. People pushing back, people who are, selling just legal states, selling cannabis. How is hemp affecting? I think the biggest issue in California is the black market, overtaxation, and really over-regulation. Man, I was talking to somebody coming into the dispo the other day, and it's like, I've probably had this conversation like 100 times, dude. Like, oh, my plug's out of town, or my plug's dry or something, and I just don't like coming to the dispo because there's you gotta wait for the flower. By the time the flower hits the shelves, a lot of time, it's already been a minute, and they can just go to their plug and get the fresh flower. So that's like a whole nother topic, like dispensary versus plug. That's where the chemical thing comes in too. And I'm just going to kind of stop it there, guys. I'm really curious what your opinion is on chemicals, pesticides in general on cannabis, PGRs too. Super interesting topic to me. So drop a comment below. Let me know it's good. Looks like I just got a message, so we'll check that, and I'll circle back soon, guys.